In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Greg Robinson. He is hailing over from the folks over at Clarus. And at Clarus, they basically, the website says it, help you to manage your entire warehouse. Basically, from automating stock management to their intelligent operative workflows, they help you to manage all those stock levels. So today we want to really deep dive into what Clarus is all about, and how they help their businesses and clients to manage their orders. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Very cool. So yeah, maybe I give a quick overview. Maybe you could give us a glimpse into what's a 360 overview on Clarus in your own words.
Yeah. So really simply, Clarus is a warehouse management software. We can help basically increase the efficiency of any business that operates a warehouse. So usually that entails things like physical layout. We help that through our solutions consultants on site, but also managing picking in process. We can integrate with many platforms, and we've got a quite extensive development team that do custom integrations. Mm-hmm. Our proprietary system is cloud native, which means that we can handle quite a lot of volume simultaneously. So we currently are rapidly growing, and we're not seeing any downturn in performance. In fact, we're currently operating with about 99.9% uptime, which is pretty much unheard of in our kind of systems.
Mm-hmm. Very good. That gives a good overview of what you guys are doing and how you guys are different. So tell us a little bit about the clients. Like, what would be sort of a typical client? How would you characterize a client that fits really well for Clarus?
Yeah, it's quite wide spanning. We've got the traditional kind of clients like logistics partners, 3PLs, like third-party logistics companies. E-fulfillment's a big growing industry that we're seeing a lot of clients coming in. But there's also traditional retail and manufacturing avenues. So basically, it's any company that operates a warehouse. So it could be a clothing retailer that has a large warehouse that's holding stock. Mm-hmm. Our system would integrate with their stock management and order management software, and basically help the people on the floor navigate around that warehouse quicker, hopefully creating orders faster, fulfilling things faster, and filling them more accurately. One of our kind of systems big wins, I guess, would be the fact that we're seeing a reduction in returns for things like clothing warehouses, which obviously is quite a positive hit to profit and loss line.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, who would you say typically, like who within the organization would reach out typically? Is that like an operations managers that actually comes from the finance team? Like where does the pull come from?
It really varies business by business. Even businesses in the same sector can be different, but it tends to be either operations and senior management. So it could be like C-suite or kind of senior managers. Could be finance, and recently it's been IT, especially with the kind of push around security and cloud applications versus on-premise and the vulnerabilities of on-premise softwares. We're seeing a lot of IT teams starting to search out for kind of more robust solutions like ours.
Gotcha. Very good. So makes sense. So what would you say, how do they learn about you guys? I mean, what's sort of the channels that they go through? What's the client acquisition channels that you guys leverage throughout the buyer's journey?
Being quite a young company, it's been predominantly either word of mouth or partnerships. We're very lucky that our CEO is extremely experienced in the business. He's worked with other kind of similar solutions. He's very well known in the industry, and he's got a lot of partnerships with like hardware suppliers, for example. So if a company is looking to acquire a warehouse space, or they're looking to acquire some hardware that they might need, and they're looking for a warehouse management solution, they've probably asked the provider of the hardware and the provider of the warehouse space if they know of what's the best kind of standard, and our name tends to get mentioned in with some of the kind of large players that probably cost about 15 to 20 times as much as us. But yeah, it's definitely word of mouth at the minute, and I guess my job is to try and hopefully turn that around a little bit.
More towards the inbound channels, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big drive that we're looking to push towards is a demand generation model. creating, quality content that people want to ingest. We're seeing a lot of people hitting our website, and obviously trying to do some research and find out things. And I guess, like most of the solutions in our industry, our website is predominantly used as a sales tool. We want to flip that round and start using it as an educational platform as well. Specifically looking at things like video content, especially with e-fulfillment kind of exploding over COVID. People are searching for things like how to set up a warehouse correctly, tips and tricks of how to get orders processed faster, things that they might be missing. Is there a particular software or a particular integration partner that might work really well for certain businesses? We've got all that knowledge in our business, but we're probably not doing a good enough job of sharing it.
Gotcha. Very interesting. You mentioned actually the role of the website is going to shift slightly. Where do you see sort of the current strength of the website versus where do you see room for further improvement?
I think the current strength of the website is the fact that we've got a presence. We're a pretty unique solution in our industry. There isn't too many alternatives that are cloud native. Most are on-premise. Some are becoming cloud-based now, but there's nothing that's actually built in AWS similar to us. So I guess the fact that we're starting to talk about that is a good strength. The issue that we're probably seeing right now is that we're not driving, not banging the drum hard enough about it. And when you say cloud-based versus cloud-native, people probably don't really realize what the difference is. They just hear cloud and they think it sounds modern. That there is some kind of nuanced differences that we want to really make sure that people understand, and the benefits for their business, just things like scalability and security. With a cloud-native application, they come as standard. Cloud-based tends to mean costs more money if you want to make it more secure.
Very good. Cool. That gives definitely a good insight. And we talked now about what you guys are doing, who you're serving. We talked about the website a bit and the growth channels. I'd love to, flip it around and talk a little bit about your journey as a marketer. You're a seasoned marketer. You've had, great experiences on sort of many sides of the marketing spectrum of roles. What I'm curious about is like, where do you personally today, get great content? Like, where do you educate yourself as a B2B marketer? Is there any blogs, podcasts, platforms that stand out to you?
Recently, I've just started getting into podcasts more. I think from my point of view, I probably started with some of the kind of large scale content leaders like Gary Vee. We're starting to hear more and more from like those kind of traditional podcasts and thought leaders in the industry. I think most of my kind of inspiration and content consumption probably still stems from video. That probably leads from my experience and my tendencies being quite a creative and visual kind of person. I would always lean towards something that I can see rather than something that I'd listen to or read. So yeah, YouTube's probably the primary source of content that I go to. Usually hearing something, a phrase or a word that I hear out of context or something, and I just need to know more. Probably struggle leaving things alone. So yeah, as soon as I hear something and I'm not 100% sure, I don't feel like I'm an expert in it. I feel this burning desire to go and just research it for a little bit to make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Very cool. Now, to wrap it up, I got some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Absolutely.
What is the last book you read?
I've literally just finished what's it called?
We can get back to the title, no worries. Or you can look it up real quick. No harm.
1 second. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yep, heard that one. Very good. Yeah. Cool. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
I think innovation. We've just finished our hack days, which is a time where the business basically shuts down apart from our kind of core customer support team. And we spent 2.5 days just focusing on innovation. Every single person thinks of a new idea, something that could add value to our software or to either internal teams processes or to the end user. So we've had things like new 3D mapping technologies developed, new ways of writing code or reducing errors and bugs. We've also had new ways of training our team internally, and hopefully that will roll out externally as well, as well as things like just UI updates for our app to make sure that we're kind of the best looking and hopefully the best user experience in warehouse management.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing that you would fix for your role as a marketer?
Oh, good question. I think SEO at the minute, it seems to be an ever-moving obstacle. So I know that there's a lot of tools that us as marketers use, but there's definitely, if tech wasn't an option, we had some all-knowing AI that could help us finally actually optimize for search engine rather than just reacting to the latest Google announcement. That would be the dream.
Nice. For the very last question, I'd like to ask you if today, basically, right? So let's go back to the days of University of Chester, right? You're heading out of formal education into in that part at least. Now, what is the piece of advice that you would give yourself for your journey in business and marketing?
Probably focus less on the fundamentals you get taught. I can't remember the last time that I thought about things like the 4 Ps of marketing. There's a lot of things that are probably quite a nice introduction to marketing, but they're not the crux of it. Tends to be quite what people call strategic, tends to be pretty much vague. So yeah, I'd say focus on what's actually happening. If I could go back to that time, it'd probably be buy as much stock as possible in things like Twitter and Spotify. But yeah, I think that's probably the one thing that when I look back to that time, you know, it probably gives you a good foothold, and you need a degree to get in the door somewhere. There's very little that I probably use day in, day out, most of which I've probably learned on the job.
Makes complete sense. Greg, I really appreciate you joining us for the episode today. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Clarus today, what's the one thing people should remember?
If you operate a warehouse, you definitely need to visit our website.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark.
Thank you very much. Cheers.